Welcome to Desi Vibes 360 podcast, folks. Once again, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all our friends, YouTube watchers and listeners all across the globe. Today we have a special guest with us, and this is a little personal for both me and my friend Anshul over here. About 10 years ago, I was in the middle of switching jobs, and a gentleman reached out to me and asked me if I was thinking about consolidating my 401k because I was switching jobs. And I was thinking about this anyway because I had multiple 401k accounts from various previous employers. So I was thinking about it anyway, and so I reached out to them. These gentlemen were from MetLife, and that is how an association over the past about 15 years started with Dimitri and Slava and Mass Mutual. So today we are welcoming our financial analyst and finance guru, finance expert, Dmitri Knysh, to our podcast to talk about finance. Welcome, Dimitri, to the podcast.
Thank you, guys. Great to be here.
Yeah, Dimitri is a leader in finance and financial planning. In full disclosure, he's been helping me with my 401k retirement accounts and things like that. A little in terms of introduction, here's a little bit of introduction about, I'm going to share his bio. Dimitri, why don't you, while your bio is here on the screen, why don't you talk about yourself, all the great things that you have done?
Sure. Thank you. So I've been doing this for about 22 years. I have a team of financial advisors that specialize in different areas. These are all the services we offer. Like if you look at the right, there's services, mainly financial planning, investment management, retirement planning. We get into insurance planning, estate planning for the families, and we work on a team basis, kind of a one-stop shop. We've been acquired a few years ago by Mass Mutual, which is one of the oldest financial companies in the United States, based out of East Coast, Massachusetts. And we've been privileged to work with a lot of Sharon's friends and Anshul's friends, and looking forward to more exciting years to come.
Thank you. Good morning, Anshul. How are you doing, buddy?
Very good, Sharon. Thanks. And so nice to have Dimitri on our podcast. Welcome once again, Dimitri. Just a little bit of recap. I've been associated with Dimitri also for the last 10 years. Sharon introduced me to him and Slava. And since then, most of my investments are with Dimitri, and he's been doing an incredible job on that. Thank you so much, Dimitri.
My pleasure, and thank you, guys.
So before we jump into the questions and answer session, just a quick disclaimer. Every financial situation is different for every individual. So this is, Dimitri, whatever questions we ask Dimitri is going to be, broad range of spectrum. For your own individual financial condition, right, please check with your financial advisor or reach out to Dimitri. I'll send his, contact information in the link to both the podcast as well as the video. So is that right, Dimitri? So please consider that when you listen to some of the answers.
Absolutely, yes.
So Dimitri, my first and foremost question is, what do you make of the current market scene? Meaning, how do you see the markets move over the next month or this year, especially when the election scene is coming up here in the United States, and as well as in India? So just wanted to get some perspective to that.
Sure, I'm sure, yes. So as anybody would tell you, that short term, nobody knows how the markets will move. Long term, it looks very promising. Again, 2024 started as a great year. S&P 500, which is the largest U.S. companies index, is up over 10% already. Again, that's being driven by the giant tech sector, what we can consider the Magnificent Seven. Everybody talks about it. Those are the Googles, the Microsofts, the Nvidias of the world. Definitely the AI boom is ramping up. Doesn't seem like it's stopping. So the technology sector is doing good. And that's what really carries the overall US stock market. And speaking of India, it's been a lot of it's been our radar for the last couple of years. We've been starting to invest heavily in Indian stock market because they have good political relationships with the U.S. and that helps definitely propel the economy there, I think. So.
Oh, you do? I was not aware. Which sectors in India you like, Dimitri?
So we basically invest in broad India stock market, exchange traded funds. There's about 5 of them. So we don't really go into a particular sector. We just kind of track the Sensex and things like that, the Indian stock market.
As a follow-on to the question that Anshul asked, we have elections coming up, big elections, and 2 different candidates with 2 diametrically opposite viewpoints and takes on which direction the country should go. Will that affect the markets in any way coming up? I know presidents don't really change the shape of the economy. Well, they do a little bit, but what do you think? Will the elections have any impact?
So that's a good question, Sharon. We get a lot of these questions from our customers, a lot. And I've been doing it through a lot of elections already. So really what happens during the election years is the volatility picks up. So meaning, especially as it gets closer to November, October time, meaning that the stock market will fluctuate more. So on a daily basis, it could go up 2-3%, down 2-3%. A lot of noise in the media and the social media and the news. But really, fundamentally, the history shows that the election years are no different than any other years when it comes to performance. So we feel very optimistic. There's nothing that really should stand in the way of the market.
So no matter who gets elected, you think it's the ride is going to continue?
Yes. The short term, typically, there could be, as I said, volatility. Even the market could go down. I don't know if you remember when Trump first got elected, the market went down a lot.
True.
But then in the next few months, everything was fine, but back to normal.
So, Dimitri, what is the best investment strategy you can suggest from a retirement standpoint?
So, Anshul, this is a big open-ended question. This is a huge part of what we do. It's probably the most exciting thing that we do is walk our customers towards retirement, financial security, financial independence. The bottom line is that you want to have a well-diversified portfolio. So, and most people kind of get that when it comes to different investments like technology, healthcare, international bonds, stocks, things like that. But what most people don't really pay attention to is the tax diversification. So there's different investments that get taxed differently upon withdrawals. So when people retire, we see a lot of population that has everything in what we call pre-tax investments. Okay, they've done 401ks, everything, all their lives. So they've accumulated a vast amount of wealth in these retirement buckets that will be fully taxable when they distribute it. And that impacts a lot of things like Social Security taxes, Medicare taxes, Medicare Part B costs. So most people don't pay attention to that, but we're big believers in having diversified tax portfolio also. Primarily tax-free investments that when you take money out, you do not have to pay any taxes on withdrawals. That allows you to kind of have control over your tax bracket and not be at the mercy of whatever the government will do and dictate when it comes to taxes and income taxation. So that's a big part of the work we do with our customers and create those different healthy tax buckets, tax-free investments, pre-tax, taxable, to make sure they have control when they retire.
Okay, got it.
I'll just follow up with that question, Dimitri. So basically, in a 401k, there are 2 types of IRA accounts, right? Most people have the traditional 401k account where they pay taxes, where they don't pay taxes, it's tax-free, and they set up a nest egg. So, but there is no escaping taxes. We all know that. When you take this money out, you have to pay taxes. So basically, let's say after 65, I take out $10,000 from, just as an example, from my 401k account, I will have to pay, $2,000 in taxes to the government. And most people try to avoid that by converting it to a Roth IRA where you pre-pay the taxes. And when you take it out, you don't, end up paying any taxes. For a lot of my friends, and even I have the question, if you have your bulk of the money sitting in a traditional 401k account where you have not paid any taxes, what is the strategy to convert it to Roth, over a period of time, so that your tax liabilities are negated or minimized, when you start withdrawing this during retirement?
Yeah, Sharon. So this is another question that people really are interested in. And as you said in the beginning, it's definitely tailored individually. We have a calculator basically that shows us whether it makes sense to convert and how much. Usually, we'd like to convert when markets are down. If you remember a couple of years ago, the markets went down 2022. That would be a pretty good year to convert. We did a few conversions because when you do that, you pay income taxes on the entire amount. Okay, so let's say you converted, as you say, $10,000 traditional IRA to Roth. You have to pay income taxes right now, okay, on the entire amount. And usually for people who are still working, that could sometimes increase their tax bracket, which you really don't want to do. But if you decide to do that, you definitely want to do it more or less in a down market, so you hopefully have an opportunity to rebound and have all of that growth tax-free. Currently at all-time highs with the stock market, we don't see a lot of Roth conversions, just because of the fact that you have to pay income taxes on the entire amount, and then if market pulls back in the next 10 years or something, you don't see the value of that growth. But what we do suggest is we've seen in the last few years, more and more companies offer a Roth 401k option within their jobs. So you can do part of the money in the pre-tax bucket and then part of the money in the after-tax within the same account. And that's definitely something that people should be looking at, just to create that tax-free bucket long term.
So Dimitri, based on your 22 years of experience, what do you think is the best sector right now to invest? And especially with all these AI companies and artificial intelligence initiatives going on, almost with every company is talking about this term. Any suggestions, any recommendations, any advice on that?
It's hard for me to give specific stock recommendations on mass media. So, but as I said in the beginning, everybody's following the Magnificent Seven stocks, and everybody knows about them. That's all they talk about it. On the news, the companies like NVIDIA that produce the microprocessors, the chips for the AI. And honestly, all the big seven tech companies are heavily involved in AI development. So Microsoft's, Amazon's, Google's of the world. This sector has been really running for the last 20 years. It's been really producing good returns, and we feel long term it's still a good place to be.
Okay, great.
But just as a follow-up to that, Dimitri, I know we didn't submit this question earlier, but is the AI, is that going to be internet was a big boom back in 1990s and early 2000s, right? Now we have, of course, there were a lot of junk companies, but currently we have the Microsoft, we have Amazon, we have Google, the FANG companies, right? We have Facebook, we have Apple, Netflix, and Google, right? So similarly, will AI companies, there is a brand of AI companies like OpenAI, Anthropic, Tesla's XAI, Hugging Face, all these are doing excellent work. Is this a big wave, right? Will be the next generation for the next 10, 20 years? Will these companies, and of course the Google and the Facebook, and they are still there, Microsoft, but will these companies emerge as a leader and Wall Street darling?
So it's a good question. We really don't see any other companies kind of taking over the stage. We actually see the reversal is those big tech companies, the giant techs, are swallowing, so to say, their competitors, and they're doing more and more things. And I always say, Google will be delivering our burgers soon. I mean, it's and cooking. They're ready to. It's just those companies are doing everything, and they're getting to do more and more. So they're more of a, I wouldn't say monopolizing, but it really kind of leaves little space to other industries and other smaller companies. That's why we haven't seen the small companies, do well in the last 10 years. It's all been driven by this magnificent 7-pack.
Yeah, on the same topic, a little funnier side. I don't want, at least personally, that AI starts giving us financial advice in future, because that human touch from Dimitri is so valuable.
Hey, thank you. I'm sure I hope the same thing with you.
Right.
Job, for at least next 10, 15 years, and you're not the only one. So what we've seen is that the younger generation really doesn't always need a financial advisor, but most people in their 40s, 50s, and 60s, they still want that human touch no matter what.
Absolutely. Yeah. Great. Hey, Dimitri, this was excellent. And thanks for your time on our podcast.
Yes, thank you, Dimitri. As always, this was, I hope it was short and informative to our users as well. We'll put all Dimitri's contact information in our description of this particular podcast, and reach out to him if you want any financial consulting or any specific topics according to your needs. But thanks, Dimitri, for your time, and have a good rest of your weekend. Thank you, everybody. Bye.
Thank you, Sharon and Anshul. Take care.